Hey guys, how's it going? Well, today we're going to do another project on this old Volvo wagon. I've been off this week on vacation, so I decided to try to focus on my vehicles as I've made a couple junkyard trips. Showed you some stuff. I got off one, you might be already seen that, but I went back yesterday to another junkyard and got some more goodies. Not very many, but a couple. And so one of the things we're going to do with those goodies is today we're going to replace the rear springs in this wagon. If we back up to the side here and take a look, so like the purple martins are here. It's getting towards springtime. If you look at the side view of this wagon, you notice that it appears like the rear is sagged down. If you look from the front to the rear, it distinctly is riding lower in the rear. And so the reason for that is that these cars and a lot of other Volvo wagons and the sedans at some point were equipped with what are called Nivomat shocks and struts. Specifically on the rear, they're called Nivomat shocks, and the way it works is they're kind of a self-leveling suspension that does not have any electronics or air pump on it. And the idea was that the shocks would play a part in supporting the rear of the vehicle, so that anyway, support the rear of the vehicle, especially when there's loads in it. And as you drive along, the idea was that the shocks would start kind of pumping themselves up and they would level out the back of the vehicle and then ride level. That's a good idea if they work, but they don't have a good ride to begin with, so that's one issue with them. And then when they wear out, people replace them with regular shocks on there because the Nivomats are extremely expensive. So they replace them with these regular shocks on there, and what happens is the shocks no longer do any job of helping raise up the suspension or support it, and the springs that are on there are actually lighter duty springs than the ones that are on non-Nivomat wagons and etc. So what you do is, this car's already had the Nivomat shocks replaced on the rear, and so now it's got the sag back there. So what I did is what you do. I went to the junkyard and I found a 740 wagon, which does not have Nivomats on it, and grabbed the two rear springs. And there they are, and they don't look any different just looking at them, but we'll get one off and compare them. But the rates are different, and so should cure all that stuff going on. And these are not hard at all to replace. They just sit in there like any normal spring, but they've got the unusual thing is they've got a bolt-in mount up here at the top, bolts right into the frame of the car. And the way I did it yesterday at the junkyard is I just worked one side at a time and undid the shock on that side, and then jacked the body of the car up so the suspension on that side would drop, and go with that. So that's what we're going to do. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my blocks of wood and I'm going to block the front wheels, because we're going to have one of the back wheels off the ground each time, so we don't want the car rolling away on us. So let's do that, and I'll see you then. Okay, thought I'd do just a quick video just to give the before ride height roughly from the ground up to the fender well. It's right at about 25 inches, maybe just a shade over. So see what our after is. Okay, what I'm doing on this step is I'm under here. The car's still on the ground. I don't have it jacked up or anything. I'm just laid under here on the left side and reaching in and undoing this shock mount bolt. That's a 17 on the inside and a 19 out here. And sometimes they're turned different ways, but that's the combination on this car and the combination on the other one that I removed the springs from. So we're going to do that, and then what we'll need to do afterwards is, this car has a sway bar on it, which I added to it, and you got a bolt right there. It's a captive nut on the other side of it. It's probably going to be a 17 like this one, be my guess, but you're going to need to take that out so the sway bar no longer constricts the movement of this size suspension. So we'll do that in the next step. Okay, so what we're doing on this step, the shock's disconnected, just have to bounce pulling the bumper. In this step, I was wrong about this. This bolt here, this is a 15. It's not a one I just picked up. It's not a 17. So go ahead and get that loosened up. And the reason why you're taking this stuff loose, especially the shock, is the shock connected, you won't ever get it. You won't ever get the suspension to drop down far enough to get this spring out of its pocket. And since Volvo was considered enough to bolt it to the car up there, then you won't have to worry about it going flying away from you. Contemplating putting some we have a little issue here. There it comes. Okay, we're gonna pull that bolt, that cap, to see it's square. Get a little square spot on it, so just go ahead and do that so the sway bar will hang. And then we're gonna come back out now. We're going to take my new replacement Ford jack that I had to buy since some resident came by and stole mine. Sitting out there, the one that only had half a handle on it. Go ahead and do that, but I tell you what, you shot yourself in the foot, because I used to put metal out here for the guys to pick up, but you think I'm going to do that anymore? Hell no. You'll never get any metal from me. Nothing free from me. You take something from me, I'll deny you. And I'll feel good about it too. So we're gonna go ahead and start jacking this. This is the jack point right there, and normally that accepts the factory jack, but we're not using the factory jack. I know some folks, I won't mention Robert's name, but like to use the factory scissors jack. But I think these are more convenient. And now, I'll say this much, I did use a factory scissor jack yesterday at the junkyard, and it did work well, so I'll give that to you. I guess it's a preference, but I just, no matter what the jack, I definitely would not get under it. I hope this will go up high enough. See what we got. It's not. That wimpy ass Ford jack ain't gonna raise it up far enough, because this has to hang free out of here. It's got some pretty decent shocks on it, I guess. I don't know what those are, but there's the bolt I was telling you about up there, the nut rather. So yeah. Okay, let me do this again and get the jack raised up some more and take it from there. Okay, that's a kind of a precarious deal there. Do not get under that unless you have the car supported up with a jack stand. That one's not quite touching, but we're going to lower the car a little bit. Anyway, don't get under that. But my wimpy Ford jack would not raise the car up high enough just on the jack point. So anyway, I just jacked this thing up, and then I heard this thing pop out down here. And so it's got a, look back there, it's got a little retainer. So when you put it all back together, you'll have to sort of kind of have, it'd be good if you had a way to, like, could take a you know, one of those little ties and tie it in there just temporarily until it starts down on its own. But you got a insulator in here also. Make sure that goes back in. But now what we're going to need to do, since we got everything free, is we're going to take our, I think that's either, I think that one's an 18 up there, I believe. And that's just a nut that just, the whole thing just comes out, unscrews. You won't have this little stud on there, I don't believe. So just take your apparatus and go up in there and loosen that thing up, and the whole spring should come out. It's quick and easy. Don't get under the car. Stay back here under, you know, stay out from the back of it, so something comes crashing down once you're under it. Well, the replacement spring's bolted in up there, so what I did is I took this isolator here off. Let's back out a little. This insulator, I guess you could say, and it's actually supposed to kind of have the spring supposed to be, you know, it's supposed to be in that insulator. So we took it off and put that on the right way, and I think that's going to let me ease that back over that lip right there. So I'm just going to go with that, and I'm going to start dropping the jack down and come back here and make sure it's seated properly. So we'll do that now. Like a glove. Okay then, car back down on the ground, shock bolted back in up there, sway bar bolted back on, and you're done. Well, that looks much better. Yeah, it rides evenly. So let's take our measuring stick here, yardstick. Does anybody ever use a yardstick anymore? Let's see what we got. We started out before we had 25 inches from the ground, just right around. Now we are at almost 26 and a half inches. So we've gained an inch and a half of ride height on each side. That doesn't seem like much, but it really is. So it's interesting. Those springs, like I said, they look almost identical, but same height and everything, but the spring rate's just different on them, because as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, those Nivomats are supposed to take, you know, they're supposed to help control the ride height and support the car. So if you have one of these wagons or sedans that have those on it, I guess 850s may also have them, but if you have those and you replace the shocks and it sags in the rear end afterwards, now you know why and what you need to do to cure that. And I know you're going to ask, well, how do you tell if it's got Nivomats on it? Well, you can go on the internet and Google that, and you know, the only problem is you can get an answer for it, but the big deal about Volvos is it seems like people that own these cars major in specialize in not ever giving you a straight answer to a question. You know, if you ask something like that, they'll say, you know, they won't answer that. They'll say, well, I had a car one time and it had those and I had to replace it. It's not what we ask. What car has Nivomats on it? So to answer your question, just about all the 760s from probably 88, 87 up, we're probably going to have them, wagons and sedans. Excuse me, again, I'm sorry. Just about all the 960s should have them. You probably will only find a few 940s that have them. There's a 940 SE that's got a lot of the 760 and 960 type stuff on it. You may find them in those, but as far as like standard old 240s and standard 740s, you're probably not going to find them. Like I said, those springs came off of a 740 wagon, which was just a standard. It was a year newer than that one. It was an 89. And they say you can get under the hood and look on the data plate, and if it's got a certain character in one of the boxes, like for suspension, it's got Nivomats on it. But and probably the easiest way to tell is to see if it sags in the rear, because those Nivomats will sag when they sit overnight or close to a day or two. They'll sag down, and then you drive them, they start pumping themselves back up. So if your car never does that, and it never does come up, then you know you probably got some blown up Nivomats. And I've seen pictures of those, and they got boots on them. The upper part of them have a boot around them. So, but really, I mean, like I said, you can buy Nivomats, you can buy replacements for them, but they're expensive and they're not that great. So I would strongly suggest just going this route. And I pulled these, like I said, I pulled these out of a junkyard, and they were $20 for the pair. Some junkyards may charge you more, but if you want to do that conversion, I think maybe IPD and FCP Euro both sell a conversion kit. It's got the 2 rear springs and the 2 new shocks to go with it. It's not bad. It's like $60-something for all that, so it's really not that extravagant. So you can go either way with it. But I think these will work fine for me because seemed like I got pretty good shocks left on there. They had been replaced previously. And that's just one of those things that people that buy Volvos, unless you delve into all this obscure knowledge, you're just not going to know. So now you do. So if you got some Nivomats and they're blown and you got a sagging Volvo, you can consider doing this swap, and that'll cure it up for you. So thanks so much for watching, and tune in on another project. See you guys.